let's say it's not necessarily an entirely fair question, but I'm sure you get asked this question: why not go live in these countries if they're such a a socialist paradise, so to speak?
Because I love my country, because I'm a patriot, and capitalism is destroying the lives of America's working families. I told you I'm from a small town in Ohio. I believe it's up to 4 people that graduated from high school with me who have died from opioids. And my small town, it's where Smucker's jelly is made. There's like a dairy plant there. And there's also like there was a company that made auto parts, and the devastation that they have endured. It was much more prosperous. When I was a kid there in the 90s, it was quite prosperous. But I look at what has happened to my hometown and hometowns like mine all throughout Ohio and Pennsylvania and Michigan and Wisconsin and the Rust Belt of the United States, and I see how living conditions are going down. It shows me that the American working people need to realize their enemy is not in Russia. Their enemy is not in China. It's not in Iran or Venezuela or Cuba. Their enemy is on Wall Street. Their enemy is in the Pentagon, and that the future of the American working class is intrinsically tied up with the people of the world, right? There's no independent destiny for American workers. And that ultimately, if we're going to get a better life for the American people, we have to realize that we share a common destiny with people around the world that are struggling for their national liberation and for socialism against Wall Street. And that, sure, for a time, you could argue that imperialism and this global capitalist system where American banks and corporations dominate the world, sure, it benefited average Americans at one point. But now, with the computer revolution, and they basically have decided they don't need this, what they used to call the labor aristocracy, or this well-paid layer of industrial workers in the homeland anymore.
That's basically
Uh,
been stripped away altogether.
yeah, and now is the time for there to be solidarity. And I'm also seeing great signs. The Black Lives Matter movement shows that among millions of white people in the United States realize that racism is no good. They realize that a police state and police state repression and enabling the government to strip away our civil liberties is a bad thing. There's a lot more interracial communities, interracial neighborhoods now, and the ugly curse of racism is starting to be broken down. And many Americans realize that we are headed toward a low-wage police state, that basically the global capitalist system is trying to lead the United States to lower and lower conditions as they set up more of an authoritarian police state apparatus to kind of hold back the millions of people that they no longer have a place for at the assembly line. And I think millions of Americans, Black, white, Arab, Asian, Latino, realize that they don't want that low-wage police state. And I think that there is a moment of popular mobilization coming. And I think many Americans are going to get involved in the revival of the labor movement that we're seeing with the Amazon workers right now. And
Mm-hmm.
the rising unrest is an indicator that this is going to be the time for socialists in the United States, if ever. If I were to go move to Cuba or move to Vietnam, I'd miss the party. I think our day is just on the horizon.